Hebrew chapter 11, verse 16, as you see here. The better country. Well, maybe those who are living here, maybe it's not very impressive or something special. But I want you to go to Afghanistan in your imagination right now. I know you hear about that country. If you are born in that country, if you are in that situation, what is happening now, will you think about better country? Is it something special? Or is it natural to think about it? When God created human being, He created man and He placed in a superlative country. Okay, not only comparative, But because of sin, now we can compare which is better. Not everything is good. Not absolutely good. Something we have to look for better. Now, what is this better country here, according to Hebrews chapter 11, 16? Now they desire better country. Why? The country they lived maybe was not good, right? Now, the better country. What is better country here? Why they desired this better country? Of course, this is God's people. They were desiring heavenly. This country here is the meaning of this country is the birthplace, hometown. Even you go to other country after many, many years, although that country was not so good, but after many years away from that place, maybe one day you desire to go there and to see. Not to live, but to see how, because that was your hometown. That is the place where you were born, you were raised. Human being, when God created, He placed in the Garden of Eden. We just sang hymn, Beautiful Valley of Eden. There God placed. And that was the place, original place. And after man, because of sin, left from that place, driven away from that place, it was their desire, always thinking of that better country. And this is what we read here in Hebrews chapter 11, 16. Now, the interesting thing is here, wherefore God is not ashamed to be called their God. What does it mean? Why? They were desiring better country, and God is not ashamed to call them, called to be their God. What does it mean? In the record of the Bible, all God's people called faithful ones. The reason is why God is not ashamed to be called their God is because instead of coveting earthly possessions or seeking happiness in worldly plans or aspiration, they placed their all upon the altar of God and made this position of it build up His kingdom. In other words, all their affection, all their desire, all their heart was in the place where God placed them at originally. This is why when they are desiring better country, God is not ashamed to be called their God. On this earth, there's no continuing city. One way or the others. Sometimes when you go to some place, it was different. Yes, they say, it was so nice when I was here, but now anymore. changing. There is no continual sitting on this earth. For he looked for a city which hath foundation, whose builder and maker is whom? Is God. Which city is this? According to Revelation chapter 21, the wall of the city had 12 foundations, and in them the names of the 12 apostles of the Lamb. You know, in chapter 21 of Revelation, in verse 2, we have the holy city called New Jerusalem. And in verse 10, we have same description of the city, a great city, the holy Jerusalem. So this is the place that all the faithful ones, all faithful children of God was desiring to go. What about us? Why are we here? What am I doing today and every day? Where are you going? Are you going somewhere? You know, this week, in fact, I had the chance to go to California, and I was taking coach class. So the flight, the night time. So I had to wake up very early. Not early in the morning, it's midnight. And I was thinking, why am I wake up early in the morning? 3 o'clock? I wouldn't wake up that time, regularly. And made me think, why? Because if in other days someone is, telling me to wake up that time, I wouldn't wake up. I don't like to wake up. But because I was going, I didn't mind. I had to wake up and go. When we are considering ourselves traveling to that city, the better country, do you think our life would be different? Our practice and our way of thinking would be different? What do you think? If we are traveling, between those who are not traveling, those who are living here, and those who are going better country, there must be a difference. Now, according to Patterson Prophet, page 125, we read here some names, beginning with Adam. Who is Adam here? The first man created by God, right? Who was touched by God himself. Can you imagine? When child is born, who touched the child? The mother, right? The mother touched the child. And the child understands the warmness of mother, right? Because touching. The child feels. From all men on this earth, the Adam is the only one touched by whom? Touched by God. Everyone else, never. Never sinned. But Adam, he saw God and he was touched by him. He could feel the hands of God. Did he? He could. Maybe because of that, it was easier for him to understand God. All of us, we are talking about God. We read his word, but God never touched us. Maybe it's harder to believe then. Adam and Seth, here we read here the names, and until Noah. Noah was 10th grandson of Adam. And then we come here, the son of Terah. And he was called Abraham. And Abraham was called faithful among the faithless. Abraham is the 20th grandson of Adam. 20th grandson. You know, these days, some family, they have 4th grandchildren. That's too many in one house, right? 4th grandchildren. But Abraham here was 20th grandson of Adam. And he was called the faithful among the faithless. Why? Because he was desired that better country. Yes, in his mind, in his heart, always that better country was there. Everyday life, he desired that country. How often we forget about that country? It's far, right? But Abraham, he was looking that country, desired to be there every day. Now in Galatians chapter 3:29, we read, if ye be Christ's, then ye are what? Abraham's seed, and heirs according to the promise. Now what does it mean if you are Christ's? It means if you belong to Christ, right? What does it mean, belong? Can anyone belong to someone else? What do you think? What does it mean? What's the difference? Okay. When you say, oh, this is my son. So how do you know it's your son? What is the evidence? If someone asking you for tangible evidence that that person is your son, then what would you show? Now, what is the tangible evidence that we are children of God? Because the Bible says, if you belong to Christ, you are Abraham's children. Where are you belong then? You know, when you say, oh, this is my son, this is my daughter, this is my mom, this is my wife or my husband, how do you know? What is the evidence? Looks like, but some people not looks like at all. You know, Jesus said in John chapter 17, I pray not that thou shouldest take them out of the world, but that thou shouldest keep them from the evil. In other words, Jesus was praying for his disciples, for his children, not to belong to the world. They are living on this earth, but not belong to them. How do we know? What is the evidence? You know what's the tangible evidence? They are desiring better country. They are desiring better country in everyday life. Their hope, their aim, their plan is all concentrated on that better country. Nothing is attractive. Nothing divert their attention. You know why? Because they are desiring that better country. These all died in faith and confessed that they were strangers and pilgrims on the earth. What's the difference between pilgrims and strangers and those who are living? What's the difference? You know what's the difference? That's not your permanent place, right? That's not permanent place. What kind of plan will you make if you are not, that's not your permanent place? What kind of work will you do if that is not your permanent place? You know why? Because desiring better country, where God prepared, passing, traveling. We can understand, when you travel. Even you go to your friend's house, always in your mind, this is not my home, right? This is not my home. Even how kind they are, their hospitality, but still in your mind, this is not my home. Even you go to your parents' house, you think in your mind, this is not my home. Why? To desire better country. It's not difficult to understand. It is not something special. It is for everybody. We all understand this. They were strangers and pilgrims. They were traveling. In 2 Timothy 4:7-8, Paul, he said, I have fought the good fight. I have finished my course. What is he trying to say here? He said, I arrived. I arrived. Because he was traveling, he was looking. Now I have finished my course. In Spirit Prophecy, early writing, here we see the people traveling to the city. And God showed in a vision to Sister White, on this path, she saw the straight and narrow path, cast up high above the world. On this path, the Advent people were traveling to the city, which was at the further end of the path. They had a bright light set up behind them at the beginning of the path, which an angel told me was what? What was that light? The midnight cry. It is difficult to walk when it's dark. This is why you need a light. But when it's bright, yes, it is a time you can walk safely. Now, this Advent people traveling to the city, God provided a great light to shine all their road, all the way to the end. You know what that light is? According to the Spirit Prophecy, angel told, it is the midnight cry. By the way, what is midnight cry? Do you remember what the midnight cry? We read midnight cry in Matthew chapter 25:6. What is midnight cry? Behold, bridegroom cometh. Now, how come that behold, the bridegroom cometh become a light? Because this is the light which shines the Advent people while traveling to the city. The behold whom? Behold the bridegroom. Who is bridegroom here? Jesus. In